Tuning in to Cold Hard Football Facts on the FanCred app. We are here for one reason and one reason only, to help you win your NFL bets. That's what we do best right here. I am Bill Enright. He is Kerry Byrne, the founder of ColdHardFootballFacts.com, a site that ESPN's Adam Schefter says does a great job, and the Wall Street Journal credits to having cutting-edge analysis. Kerry, all those compliments are about you, my man.
Well, we've had a good run. We had a great run, great run last week, Bill. Our mental mismatches, kind of our prize indicator for betting against the spread. Went 2-0 against the spread. Both our smart teams beat dumb teams. Our statistical darling of the season that nobody believes in, the Chicago Bears, shocked the Rams, shut down Jared Goff and that offense. Kind of went right according to our statistical profile. What our numbers told us would happen last week happens, man. Like we say, trust in the numbers, not in what you think. And kind of those dark horse Bears, we call them the dark horse Chicago Bears, our dark horse to go to the Super Bowl, shocked a lot of people when they beat the sexier, more exciting team in the Rams. But in reality, our numbers showed, said that Chicago is, don't sleep on them. They're a very strong team, a very powerful team, and all the quality stats that matter most, the stats that win and lose games each Sunday.
So here's what we got. Kerry, you brought up the Chicago Bears. You brought up the quality stats. I want to tell everyone how they can get access to all this information. We only have a half-hour show today. We have over 22 quality stats on coldhardfootballfacts.com. We can't get to all of them. We're going to identify some of the games that we like right here on this show, but I do urge everyone to go check out coldhardfootballfacts.com. You can get a 7-day free trial. Check it out for Week 15 or sign up for the rest of the year. We go all the way through the NFL Super Bowl for just $40. I think usually it's over $100. So you get a major discount for I think it's $39.95 or $39.99. $40 for the rest of the season, 7 weeks of NFL action, Week 15, 16, 17, and then all the way wild card weekend, all the way through the NFL Super Bowl. Or again, it's a free trial, 7-day free trial. You can't go wrong. We were 2-0 last week with our awesome intelligence index, and that's where we're going to start off today, Kerry. The importance of mental stability, mental health, mental mismatches in the NFL can help you make money when you're betting on football games. It's really that simple. Smart teams versus dumb teams.
Yep. And what we found, Bill, over the years, are smart, efficient, well-coached teams win games and win games against the spread, and dumb, inefficient, poorly coached teams not only lose games, but they lose games against the spread. Last week, another perfect example. This stat moves almost in lockstep year after year. We'll run through some of the numbers in a minute. But here's why it works, Bill, okay? The NFL isn't high school football, okay? Team X isn't bigger and faster and stronger than Team Y. It's not Alabama versus Citadel, where one team has all the talent. The reality is in the NFL, most teams are fairly evenly matched up and down from, number 1 to number 53. Obviously, quarterback has a uniquely significant impact on the outcome of the game. Great quarterbacks win, bad quarterbacks lose. But what we're looking at with intelligence is how efficient are you in all phases of the game? Are you smart and efficient? Do you take advantage of your opportunities? Do you not commit penalties? Do you not commit turnovers? Do you take advantage of red zone opportunities? Are you proficient on special teams? We look at all those. And why it works, Bill, is because nobody else looks at it. If you're looking for value, if you're looking for a way to find, kind of a winning formula, everyone else is looking at, this is the number 1 rushing offense against the number 22 run defense. It really doesn't matter. The differences are so minute. What matters is, do you take advantage of your opportunities? Are you a smart, well-coached team? And week after week, year after year, this number works like clockwork, Bill. 2-0 last week against the spread. We got a pretty good game. We feel good about this week, too, coming up.
So last week we said the Saints over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The line was the Saints were -8. They won by, I think, double-digit points. I think they won by 10. We also said the Vikings the Seahawks over the Vikings. It was a Monday Night Football game, and the Vikings blew them out. It was really a no contest.
Seattle did. Yep.
Blew them out. It was really a no contest. The Vikings scored with 1 minute left in the game, but they won by double digits. I believe it was 2 touchdowns. So again, 2-0 last week. This week, we're focusing on really one game, and it's again with the Seattle Seahawks, who are number 2 on the intelligence index. They're playing against their NFC West rivals, the San Francisco 49ers. The line is 5.5. The intelligence index line is number 2, Seattle Seahawks, versus number 29, the San Francisco 49ers.
A very smart, efficient team in Seattle against a very dumb, inefficient. The 49ers haven't really recovered mentally, efficient-wise, since Harbaugh left, a few years back. And by the way, we're in a wine cellar here, and someone's grabbing some wine behind us. Pete Carroll, Seattle coach Pete Carroll, is kind of known as a rah-rah guy. But he always has smart, well-coached teams. Seattle is good, consistently good, because they're a smart, well-coached, efficient team, Bill. And, a big part of that is Russell Wilson, a smart, efficient quarterback, a guy who makes few mistakes, has a high passer rating, does a lot of the little things right, obviously will have a profound impact. But this is easily our game of the week, one of the smartest teams in football against one of the dumbest. And this is one any week I see it spread like this, I go for the smart team.
So the line is -5.5. Kerry, this is your bet of the week. You're going with the Seahawks.
Yeah, even though they're on the road, it's a short trip. It's it's a West Coast game. They're not traveling across country. And by the way, Bill, let me show you some numbers. Don't just take my word for it. A smart teams win, okay? The smartest team in football, New Orleans, has the best record against the spread in football at 10-3. Seattle's the number 2 team on the intelligence index. They have the second best record against the spread, okay? We see this week after week, Bill. The top 5 teams on the intelligence index are 740 against the spread. And we see this week after week after week. They're winning 3 out of 4 games against the spread practically. The 5 dumbest teams, Bill, are 38% against the spread.
So let's just quickly go through those top 5 and those bottom 5 numbers, because I think it's important for people to know who the smartest teams are and who the dumbest teams are. You mentioned, imagine going up to your bookie and saying, hey, I have these stats that are going to help me win 3 out of 4 of my bets this week. Will you still take my bets? They're going to laugh in your face, and they're going to say, sure, we'll take your bets, but you're not going to go 75%. But that's exactly what this intelligence index is doing. And it's not just doing 1 week or 2 weeks at a time. It's done it for the last couple of seasons.
Several years. But what we always see, this is why it moves with this clock-like precision, is the top 5, 6 teams are almost always winning almost 70% against the spread over the course of the season. And the bottom 5 are the inverse. They're winning only like 30% against the spread over the course of the season. And the reason why is because people don't look at this number. They don't realize that it's that efficiency at the end of the day in the NFL. Again, when all teams are nearly equal physically, it's that efficiency that's going to win and lose you football games. So what we find is smart teams are usually undervalued because people aren't looking at them. The classic example, we talked about it last week. Even with the loss last week, the Patriots, they're a intellectual dynasty. They're annually one of the smartest teams in football. I think they were number 1 last year. Even though they lost last week, straight up and against the spread, they're still 32-13 against the spread since the start of 2016. Because they're undervalued, and people undervalue smart teams because they're not looking at it. They don't understand the importance of efficiency in winning NFL games. It's completely different than analyzing college football games, Bill. Completely different. This is what matters. And then what we find a lot of times, these dumb teams, they may look good on paper. They may look sexy. They may, oh, wow, they have a great running back. They have a great whatever. Oh, they have a great, shutdown corner. But if they're inefficient, they're making stupid plays. They're doing dumb things. And dumb teams do dumb things week after week to lose games and lose games against the spread. And smart teams do smart things week after week to win games and win games against the spread. And we now have years of evidence that this is a pretty reliable indicator. So like I said, don't take my word for it. Go look at the numbers we ran, and you'll see it there in black and white.
You want access to the intelligence index? Go check out coldhardfootballfacts.com. Start your free trial today. 7-day free trial, perfect time for week number 15 in the NFL. He is Terry Byrne. I am Bill Enright. You can join us, by the way, on the FanCred app. Hit the fan line on the top right-hand side of your iPhone or smartphone, whatever you're using, and you'll be able to join us right here on the show. Ask Terry a question. We'll help you with your bets this weekend, or you can always chime in the comment section, and our producer will send over some of the questions to us. Kerry, I mentioned the top 5 and the bottom 5 on the intelligence index quickly. We'll go through it. The New Orleans Saints, number 1 on the intelligence index, 10-3 against the spread. We have the Seattle Seahawks, 8-3-2. They're number 2. Chicago Bears are 9-4. Kansas City Chiefs 8-4-1, and the Houston Texans coming in at 6-7. They seem like to be the outlier on this group.
Yeah, they're an outlier. You know, every year there might be an outlier here or there, but for the most part, you look in, you know, the top 5 teams. Six. New England's number 6, by the way, and they're 8-5 against the spread. So 5 of the top 6 teams have easy winning records against the spread. And if I'm looking at them overall, the top 5 teams are 41-21 against the spread.
Yeah, that's really
the top 6 teams are 49-26.
That's
with 3 pushes against the spread.
That's a 73% winning percentage.
Yeah, actually 65 against the spread, but 73% straight up. I mean, these are these are 5 of the best teams in football, and
then let's go the other way. Let's go with the bottom 5 teams, the dumbest teams in the NFL. You start off with the Arizona Cardinals. You know, first-time head coach, rookie quarterback. They're absolutely brutal. 6-7 against the spread. San Francisco 49ers. They're on their 3rd or 4th string quarterback after losing Jimmy Garoppolo and C.J. Beathard. They're 4-9 against the spread. The Jacksonville Jaguars are an absolute disaster this year. They just fired their offensive coordinator. Their defense is a shell of themselves. 4-7-2 against the spread. And then the Raiders and the Bills, 5-8 against the spread. They are the 2 dumbest teams in the NFL.
Yep. And you see that year after year, man, when the Raiders were going through their streak here I know they had a little run, recently, but for over a decade now, they've been bad. They've been a dumb, poorly coached team. Same thing with the Buffalo Bills. I mean, look at Buffalo and Jacksonville, Bill, teams that made the playoffs last year but can't handle success. I mean, they can't piece 2 seasons together decently because they're poorly run teams, and it shows up. It shows up not only in the win-loss column, it shows up in their ability to make you money or lose you money. And by the way, we touched on this earlier. I don't know if I can just backtrack to it. About that Bears-Rams game, Bears number 1 on our quality stats power rankings, but more importantly, number 1 in defensive passer rating. They're the best pass defense in football. And don't look at yards allowed. This is one of the eternal truths of the cold hard football facts. Don't look at total offense. Don't look at total defense. Don't look at passing yards allowed or gained or rushing yards allowed or gained, because those are volume stats. Volume stats don't win you games. You need to look at efficiency, and our preferred measure of pass defense efficiency is defensive passer rating, the formula for quarterbacks applied to a team defense. And what happened when the Rams went up against the number 1 pass defense in football, if you look at defensive pass rating, they got annihilated. Jared Goff, 0 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, I think 100-something yards. So, there's a lot of these stats work. As long as you look at the right numbers, the NFL, Bill, becomes fairly predictable is a strong word in sports, but it becomes easy to see the patterns and trends that are likely to unfold week after week.
So we actually have a question about the Chicago Bears from James in the comment section. He wants to know, is the media super underrating this team? You're saying that the Bears, by your standards, are actually number 1 in the quality stats, but yet we really don't hear a lot about the Chicago Bears. Is it because the media just likes the sexiness of the Los Angeles Rams or the Saints, or the Dallas Cowboys are getting a lot of attention? The New England Patriots are always a big story. Patrick Mahomes is on pace for 50 touchdowns with the Chiefs, and there's really no big superstar on the Chicago Bears. Maybe it's Khalil Mack, a defensive player, not exactly the sexiest kind of player given all the fantasy fandom in the NFL today. So Chicago Bears they're number 1 in the power rankings, your power rankings, quality stat power rankings, but yet at the same time underrated.
Absolutely. We see this year after year where a team kind of comes out of nowhere. The Rams last year had all this buzz, right? The first-year head coach, a young dynamic coach.
I'm not sure if Kerry may have paused, maybe try to rejoin him in a little bit. But yes, he was about to go on to say, I have the numbers right in front of me too, so I can speak for Kerry on this one. The Chicago Bears are number 1 in the quality stat power rankings. Their quality standings, they're number 9. And what that means is they have a winning record against other teams that also have winning records. If you look at the New Orleans, Kerry, we get you back?
Yeah. I never lost you. You lost me. Sorry about that.
All right. Well, I was just about to say how the Bears have winning records against other teams that have winning records. That's an important stat in the quality standing.
Yeah, well, here's the big thing on the Bears. Again, headlines. This is what the genesis of the cold hard football facts were, Bill. So many times there's a team that generates a lot of headlines, that generates a lot of excitement, and they're usually offensive-minded teams. And what we found is those offensive-minded teams, the Saints are a perfect example, the Rams are a perfect example, that they generate a lot of headlines and buzz, but then they become overvalued because people aren't looking at the right stats. So we're just trying to get you to look at the right stats. And we told you right here last week, Bill, what did we say? The Bears were our dark horse to go to the Super Bowl for the NFC. And I know people laugh when they hear that because, hey, the Rams, but what happened? The numbers we look at trumped the sexy factor, the cool factor, the hype factor. And but yeah, the Bears are actually only 2-2 against quality opponents. It is something we look at quite a bit. But they're just, I just like them, Bill. I like them. When I judge teams by their statistical profile, and when I look at that statistical profile, it jumps out at me, man. It really jumps out as a team that's built to win in December, built to win in January, I should say.
They are top 5 in at least 10 of your quality stats. The Chicago Bears are. They're going up against a Green Bay Packers team that not really having a good season against Aaron Rodgers. Maybe that is a good transition to talk about this game for a second, because you have the Green Bay Packers as number 22 on the intelligence index, and the Chicago Bears are number 3 are number 3 for the year. Chicago Bears are -6 this week. Let's talk about this game for a bit.
Yeah, well, the Chicago Bears they're in the top half of the NFL in all but 2 of our indicators, Bill. And this is a game, the Packers have kind of fallen apart. They fired their coach. They were a pretty poorly coached team. If we look at the intelligence index, Green Bay is only 22. So this is kind of one of those mental mismatches, a smart team versus a dumb team. Not a glaring one, a pretty good one, an attractive one, but the Bears are just right now better at most everything. They're much more efficient. Let's look at some efficiency numbers. Remember I told you volume doesn't matter. It's those efficiency numbers. Sure. Chicago's number 3 in scoreability. That's how efficiently you score points. Green Bay's number 18. Green Bay's bottom half of the league in offensive efficiency based on our measure, yards per point scored. Chicago.
Terry, I'm going to interrupt you there, which you wouldn't expect from an Aaron Rodgers-led team, but I think that's what people get fooled by. They fall in love with the idea that Aaron Rodgers is one of the best quarterbacks in the league, but yet here you are telling us that the Packers do not score points in an efficient manner.
And the Bears are far more efficient. But here's how we look at it, though. All our stats are team-wide indicators, Bill. People get too caught up in individualism, individual stats, and this is why they misjudge NFL games. And listen, nobody knows fantasy football better than you do, right? You would crush me week after week after week in fantasy football. But as you know from our discussions over the years, those fantasy stats translate to winning your fantasy league, but they don't always translate to to being on a great team. Year after year, we see rushing leaders, passing leaders, receiving leaders being on mediocre to poor teams, and it's really those team-wide efficiency indicators that win and lose the actual games on Sunday. And scoreability is not just our offensive efficiency; it's not just how good is your offense. It takes into account everything else. Does your defense force turnovers and give you a short field? If you only need 20 yards to score a touchdown, that's great for your scoreability. Right. Football is not played in a vacuum. The real games, the wins and losses, every unit works in unison at some level. Sure. And, so Aaron Rodgers, all these years, he may be, putting up big individual stats, but if his team's inefficient, if you have to go a long way to score a touchdown, if they're turning the ball over on the 5-yard line after an 80-yard drive and getting no points out of it, they look like an inefficient team. The Bears are also number 8 in what we call bendability. We measure the bend but don't break phenomenon. People always talk about it, Bill, right? Oh, they have a great bend but don't break defense, but they do it with the eye test. We actually quantify it with a real hard number we call bendability, yards per point allowed. How many yards a team needs to score against you. And the Bears are number 8 in that indicator. They're number 3 in scoreability. And this is an all-around efficient team that's playing well in all phases of the game. And Green Bay is not. Green Bay is a below-average team in almost every measure, and that's how. And so it makes sense, despite the fact people love Aaron Rodgers and love the Packers. When you look at them through our numbers, right, they are a 5-7 team. They might even be overachieving based on some of their poor performances statistically.
Bill Parcells, you are what your record says you are. You're watching.
Hey,
go ahead.
Go on. Sorry.
You're watching ColdHardFootballFacts.com. This is the FanCred app. And the beauty of the FanCred app is we are allowed to bring – we get to bring fans on the show with us. All you have to do is hit that fan line. We're actually going to bring a fan on with us. Derek in Boston has a question this week. What's up, Derek?
How's it going, guys?
Hey, Derek, what's up, brother?
Gary, so forgive me, this is my first time going on to the segment. What determines you making the actual pick from a smart team to a dumb team, and do you make multiple picks?
It depends on the week. Some week there may be, we call mental mismatches, a smart team versus a dumb team. This week there's kind of three of them, but there's one we really like, and it's not based on my judgment. It's based on what is the gap between, how smart is the team and how dumb is the team. And the biggest gap of the week is usually our preferred game of the week. And Seattle number 2, San Francisco number 29 is easily our pick of the week. It's based purely on the numbers. We look only at the numbers, and that's what makes our determination.
Terry, I think Derek brings up a good point, because I know I'm in New Jersey here. Gambling just became legal. My friends are on the app all the time. Some of these guys are degenerates, flat out degenerates. Even before it became legal, they were calling their bookie every minute. They'd be at the cafe, putting in bets, throwing down parlays, doing 10-team teasers, whatever. I feel like I was always, if there was an intelligence index for betting, I'd be at the top, because I wasn't betting 4 or 5 games. I was just betting 1 or 2 games a week and really minimizing my risk by maximizing my value on each bet that I would make. I'd follow your quality stats. I'd follow the intelligence index at coldhardfootballfacts.com, and I'd win a steady amount of money over the course of the season. You can't go broke making a small profit. And I think by going after every game and taking this team -3 and going over here with a parlay +5, it's just in a very inefficient way to wager on football. And I think that's what we're also trying to help people understand, is you don't have to attack every game. You can just identify 1 or 2 games a week and still make a good chunk of money betting on games.
Hey, Billy, some people just like the action, right? They like the action. That's their thing. That's your thing. That's great. Do it your way. You like the action. Go ahead.
I like winning money.
I don't like the action. I like being right and analyzing games correctly and having the background, the stats, the numbers to prove it, to do it week after week.
Yeah.
And, we show you the numbers. Well, we went through on that intelligence index alone, but there's other factors to look at. Find your own formula. But here's how you make money at anything. You zig when others are zagging. Do you buy real estate when the market's high or when the market's low if you want to make money long term? It's all the smart guys. When the bottom falls out, they go in and dive in and score a lot of property for cheap. And they're the ones who make a lot of money long term. Betting on football is not really that different. You got to zig when other people are zigging. If everyone's hot on the Rams, they got to become overvalued.
Right.
You have to zag. We gave you a perfect example last week saying, and it wasn't a mental mismatch, but we did tell you the Bears were our dark horse, and here's why. And they shocked a lot of people. They didn't shock us. And you just have to be true to yourself, be true to your stats. That's why I don't overextend. Don't overextend. When there's something clearly dividing and a formula we trust, that tends to be what we focus on. But like I said, some people like the action. It's your thing. It's your thing. Go ahead. But if you want proven information that's going to help you zig when the market's zagging, to find value when no one else sees it, we're your guys. Cold Hard Facts is it. That's what we do.
So I want to thank Derek for bringing up that point. It's a very, very good point that you don't always have to go after every single game on the slate. If you're filling out those cards, fine. You're in a pick 'em pool, fine. But if you want to just win 1 or 2 of your bets, that's fine. If you want the action, go skydiving or something.
Yeah. Hey, Bill, I'll tell you right now, you and I talked about it a bit. Here's the 3 biggest mental mismatches of the week, okay?
Yeah.
Number 1, we've talked about it now. Seattle -5.5 at San Francisco, okay?
Number two on the intelligence index versus number 29.
Now you have number 1 New Orleans -7 at number 23 Carolina, okay? That's a pretty big mismatch, but it's a little less attractive. The spread in intelligence is a little smaller, but the point spread is a little bigger.
Right.
So that has a little less value. And then, Chicago, I think it's off the top of my head, I think they're favored by 5 against Green Bay at home. And
Chicago's -6. They're number
-6 now. Okay. So that's
intelligence index, and the Packers are number 22.
So again, a little less value as you go down the line. So, I think those are 3 pretty solid ones. But if I'm picking one game this week, it's that Seattle San Francisco game we've been beaten up so far here on Cold Hard Football Facts. But you see what I'm saying? Each one has a little bit less value. So you're going to have to make a judgment somewhere along the way. Right. But just trust dumb teams, smart teams win games and win money, and dumb teams lose games and lose money. It's simple as that.
From an NFL playoff standpoint, there's a lot of juice in this New England Patriots Pittsburgh Steelers game. The Steelers are on a 3-game losing streak. The Patriots lost to the Miami Dolphins on that Miami miracle play with Kenyon Drake outscoring or outrunning Rob Gronkowski to the end zone. That gave them the win. They're playing against each other this week. The New England Patriots, right outside that top 5, they're number 6 on the intelligence index with a winning record against the spread. The new Pittsburgh Steelers are 19 on the intelligence index, and the Steelers are actually favored at home plus 1.5.
So New England, this is interesting for a lot of reasons. I have family in Pittsburgh. I'm down there all the time, and if you listen to sports radio in Pittsburgh, they just throw up their hands and say, "We can't beat Tom Brady. We can't beat the Patriots." But this rivalry now, going back to 15 years or so, that's been the Tom Brady and Ben Roethlisberger era. The Patriots have clearly dominated. But more often than not, who do people think is the more talented team? They almost always think the Steelers are the more talented team, right? They get better receivers, they get better linemen, they got this and that. But New England is always more efficient, always smarter, and that's why they always win. It doesn't help. It doesn't hurt they have the best quarterback in football. But this is a game I'm a little weary of. The Patriots have this historic track record. Ben Roethlisberger, is suffering some injuries, not practicing today, I understand. But here's one stat in favor of the Patriots. The Patriots right now have more quality wins, more wins against quality opponents than any team in football with 5. The Rams have 4 quality wins. The Texans have 4 quality wins. Nobody else has more than 4, except the Patriots. The Patriots are not only, and they have 2 losses. They have 5-2 against quality opponents.
And just carry for clarification, quality opponents, teams with winning records.
Teams with winning records. Simple as that, because we want to see who's beating up weak schedules. For example, the Saints have only played 3 quality opponents, the fewest in football. They're 2-1.
Right.
The Patriots are 5-2. So you take that into consideration when you weigh in the merits of each team. The Patriots not only 5-2, most wins against quality opponents in the NFL, they have the greatest scoring differential too. They're plus 5.4 points per game against quality opponents, not against the second-rate teams, but against quality opponents. So they've not only beat the most quality teams, they have the highest scoring margin against quality teams. And I know a lot of people in New England think the Patriots are, they're having a rough year. They're a little below what the standards are in Boston, I guess, but they're still playing good competition. And is that, they're a team, is going to show up for a big game and play well, as they seem to do week after week.
All right, Kevin, we just have a few more minutes here. And again, you can get your free trial at coldhardfootballfacts.com by signing up. It's really that easy. Get all of the quality stats for week number 15. Our bet of the week, Seattle Seahawks minus 5.5, minus 6 against the San Francisco 49ers. Before we go, Carrie, let's talk about the mother of all stats, passer rating differential, and we'll dive into the top 5 teams because I think this is another really good indicator of who's winning and losing football games.
Yeah, and this is a big one. We call it the mother of all stats. It has the highest correlation to championship potential we've found of probably any stat in all of sports. You've had nearly 40% of all NFL champions, going back to the 1930s, Bill, going back to the first NFL title game in 1933. Almost 40% of all NFL champs were number 1 in this stat. And all it measures is the gap between your offensive efficiency, your offensive passer rating, and your defensive efficiency against the pass, or what we call defensive passer rating. A tremendous amount of tremendously high correlation to championship potential. And a bit of a surprise at number 1 here with the Chargers of all teams. A bit of a statistical juggernaut, number 1 in the mother of all stats right now going into week 15 of the season.
The Chargers Chiefs, they're kicking off Thursday night. We're actually broadcasting the show on Wednesday, so only about 36 hours away from now. But to me, that's the game of the week. I think that's going to be an awesome game. The Chiefs and the Chargers, both in the top 5 on the quality stat power rankings. You have 2 MVP candidates in Patrick Mahomes and Phillip Rivers. I'm not saying that people should go out and bet this game, but if you like football and you just want to watch, to me, this is a much-watched game.
And not only that, they rank 1 and 2. I should have mentioned the Chiefs rank 1 and 2 in passer rating differential and the mother of all stats. So these are the winner of this game, and they may meet again in the postseason, right? has a very good shot, has a statistical profile of a champion. I mean, I could see either one of these teams playing the Chicago Bears in a kind of surprise Super Bowl. You know, the Chiefs have been hot all season long. The Chargers have, as they usually do, have kind of flown under the radar screen a bit. But if they can pull off this, win on national TV, I think it'll do a lot to elevate their profile around the country, kind of like the Bears did last week by beating the Rams.
And who else is in this top 5 for the mother of all stats passer rating differential?
I should know it off the top of my head. We got the Chargers, the Chiefs, the Saints, the Bears, and the Seahawks.
That's it. There you go. And those are all 5 contenders right now, all pretty much locked up playoff spots. And you're saying top 5 teams in this category, 40% of them have been Super Bowl champions or, NFL football.
The number 1 team in this stat going back is almost 40% of the time in the champion. It's amazing that this stat does such a good job of highlighting, potential champions and has through the decades too.
So in other words, we should probably pay attention to who finishes number 1 in this stat when it comes around to week 17.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Not always right, but it's usually pretty close. And what makes something a quality stat, Bill? I know we got to wrap up, but how highly do they correlate to success in the football field? We don't look at meaningless stats. So you'll get any one of our stats, and the top teams, for example, in pass rating differential, have the best records in football. It doesn't always correlate to against the spread success, like the intelligence index or some other stats, but you look at the bottom of pass rating differential, and it's the worst teams in football. It's the Lions, the Jets, the Bills, the Cardinals. That's why we look at these stats. We look at the stats that win and lose football games on Sunday.
I just have one question from the comment section, and it's kind of interesting, but I want you to clarify just so the people watching can understand how this all works. Matthew wants to know, why does Kerry think the Chargers are higher in quality stat rankings than the Chiefs? Kerry, this is not your opinion. These are just based on facts and stats. This is not like you sitting there moving teams up and down a power ranking sheet.
My opinions matter. My opinions don't matter. I've never published an opinion of what I think. I look at the numbers and I report to you what the numbers are going to tell you. And more often than not, those numbers correlate to success in the football field. The Chargers have the 3rd highest average ranking across the board in our indicators. So they're number 3 in our quality stats power rankings. The Chiefs are 5th. The Chiefs actually have a couple statistical weak links that the Chargers don't have that kind of drop them down the list. Both very good teams. It's not a big difference, but this is not my opinion. This is what the numbers tell us, and we'll only tell you what the numbers tell us. You will never, ever get an opinion from me about what's going to happen on the football field. You only get the cold, hard football facts.
Don't make another NFL bet without these quality stats at your fingertips, and you can do that by going to coldhardfootballfacts.com. Start your free trial today or sign up. It's $39.99. So for less than $40, less than $5 a week, you'll be winning money in no time. Thanks to the coldhardfootballfacts.com quality stats. Kerry, another great show. Best of luck to you.
Thanks, Bill.
Have fun.
All right, man. Enjoy the football.
All right. Thanks for watching. We'll be back next week. Download more, tune in for more shows all throughout the weekend right here on the FanCred app.